Good morning, everybody. Today we're talking about communication skills as it pertains to prevention and what we need to do to incorporate the two to have a more effective outcome in our daily living. Communication. Now, when you talk about communication, there's all different types of communication styles. Uh, People tend to always want to have their point made and established because whatever it is that you're saying, you believe that that is what the truth of the situation is. Sometimes that's true, sometimes it proves not to be true. But to be able to communicate effectively with somebody, effective communication is not you getting your point out and being understood, but it is the two parties being able to get their views out and be well understood by the other party. That's effective communication. Now, if you have a bunch of yelling and shouting and a bunch of emotions are injected into the communication, well, you know that that's not effective communication at all. And that usually just leads to some type of altercation instead of any type of understanding or any type of effective communication. So, what can we do to establish better communication between people? And how does this pertain to prevention? Well, remember, prevention is about us stopping something from occurring before it happens, right? That's we're trying to prevent something from occurring or something from reoccurring in our lives. If you don't communicate with somebody, tell somebody what's going on inside of your mind, if you don't share with them those feelings that you have, those thoughts that go through your head, you know, when it comes to dealing with, let's take drugs. Anybody that has ever been on drugs before and you're getting off of drugs, or if you've gotten yourself off of drugs, thank God, you know that even though you're not using the drugs anymore, you still have those thoughts. Because the things that you did in the past to obtain drugs, or the states of mind that you were in when you were on those drugs, those things actually happened to you, and those things are still present in your psyche. They're still present in your mind. And sometimes something, you know, we have those things called triggers. Sometimes you have those things that, man, you may hear a certain song and man, it may make you think about that drug, you know, or you may see a certain person and man, it'll make you think about that drug. And then you have those thoughts, and then you find yourself, if you're not able to diminish those thoughts or make those thoughts go away and replace them with something else, sometimes those thoughts will linger on, right? And they'll cause you to start to move back in towards the direction of using again. So when those things happen, it's important for you to be able to communicate with somebody. That's why they have these things called sponsors, right? So when you have those moments, you can pick up the phone and call your sponsor and say, hey, listen, man, I'm having some crazy thoughts go through my head about using, and I don't want to use again and whatnot. Man, I need somebody to talk to me. I need to talk to somebody right now. So you call your sponsor and they can be able to, hopefully they can give you some words of encouragement or tell you something or do something or whatnot and interject into the situation and cause you not to be able to fall off the wagon, or to help to prevent you from using again. Now, when you go to express yourself, a lot of times communication fails because people don't know how to express themselves. They have a thought, but it's hard to just articulate that thought that they have in their head. It's like, have you ever had an idea or an invention or something, you say, you know what, I can see it in my mind, but I just don't know how to explain it to you. Or I just don't know how to put it down on paper to show you what it is that's in my mind. There's that breach, there's that gap between what's in your mind and what you're able to materialize or what you're able to articulate. So how can we bridge that gap? That's what we're going to talk about a little bit today, and that's what we've been talking about. How to bridge that gap to get effective communication between not just you and the other parties, but effective communication between your mind, the thought that you have, and your mouth to be able to articulate that thing. See, that's where the bridge is gapped at. It's not usually between the two people. That's just usually an effect that happened because of something. But the something that it happens because of is because of the gap that's bridged between that thought that you have and articulating that thought out of your mouth. Does that make sense? Okay, good. So, what are one of the things that we can do? Well, first of all, have more confidence in yourself and try. You've got to try. You can't fail at anything unless you give it a try. Most people are afraid to try. Try to articulate that thing. Okay, it may get frustrating at first when you first go. It's like riding a bike. You know, it's like my grandson. I was trying to teach him yesterday how to use a yo-yo. And he was like, oh, I'm never going to get this. And I says, hey, listen, you'll never get it if you keep telling yourself that you'll never get it. But if you really want to do that, man, keep trying. Keep winding that thing up. Take your time. Wind that string up. Put it on your finger and, man, have at it and jerk up and, man, watch that thing come up. And he says, eventually you'll be able to do it. I said, but if you just sit there and pout and say, man, I'm never going to be able to do this, Poppy. I said, if you do that, guess what? That's what the outcome is going to be. You're never going to be able to do that. It's the same thing with us as adults. Listen, if you have feelings and emotions and things that you want to express, take your time. Get your feet wet. Try. And I'm going to tell you something. If you're afraid to try with other people, I'm going to tell you a great place for you to try it at. And I do this all the time. And it helped me with public speaking, and it helped me with a plethora of other platforms, even speaking to my grandson. I started looking at myself in the mirror, and I started talking to myself. And I said, now listen here, Fred. And then I would look at how I was expressing the things that I was expressing. I would look at my facial expressions. I said, man, you know what? I can see why it may be hard for people to understand some of the things that I'm trying to articulate to them because, man, the thought that I have in my brain, well, first of all, my facial expressions are not in line with what I'm thinking. Because what I'm thinking is a happy thought, is a good thing. But my facial expressions, because I'm so frustrated and trying to get them out, my face looks like this when I'm trying to tell you. Say, listen, this thing is good for you. It's going to help you. And when I'm like, oh my God. No wonder they didn't understand what I was saying or couldn't connect the dots between the two things because my thought was a good thought to help you or to be able to help the situation. It was a good thing. My thought in my brain was like this. But my facial expression, because of my frustration with not finding the words that I want to say this, was like this. So there's a conflicting message that's being conveyed to the people. My thoughts are happy and they're great, they're helpful. I know this is going to bless you, but my expression is different. So you have to start practicing in the mirror. Take some time. When you have some things that you want to express and you don't know how to express them to yourself. You'll know. You'll understand you. Take time to start expressing those things to yourself in the mirror. Man, that's a great way to start to prevent some things from occurring. Start talking to yourself. Man, you're somebody special. You are very special. Invest in yourself. Believe in yourself. Try that little tip. And tomorrow we'll be back with some other tips to help you in effective communication as it pertains to prevention. God bless you. You have a great day.